Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Brews with Brian, a craft beer review podcast. Now, craft beer is beer that is made in smaller breweries, not these big corporate machine breweries that we're all aware of. Craft beer is made with patience and time, and the people that make this stuff care about the product they are delivering to us, the consumer. Now, on today's episode, I'm reviewing Wake Up Dead from Left Hand Brewing Company, Cubano-Style Espresso Brown Ale from Cigar City Brewing, and Double Two-Hearted Ale from Bell's Brewing Company. So let's kick this show off. And first up on today's show, we have Wake Up Dead by Left Hand Brewing Company out of Longmont, Colorado. Wake Up Dead has an ABV of 10.2% and a rotating availability. Now, the description from the website says, "Good morning, you woke up dead. You're in ruins on the brink of catastrophe. But don't be discouraged, you are ripe for revolution. Our barrel-aged Russian Imperial Stout doesn't happen overnight. Patience is required. Wake Up Dead hibernates in our cellars for over 12 months before being blended to woody perfection. Hints of raisins, cherry, licorice, and toffee, followed by earthy herbal hop notes that rise up, joining you in your fight for a better life." This beer pours a foamy, frothy head of mocha brown color over a very dark brown, near black body. Retention is average and lacing is light and patchy. Aromas of roasted malts, chocolate, grain malts, tangy green apple tartness. Virtually no discernible barrel aging character nor stout aromas either. Potency is moderate, off the mark by style standards and even by general beer standards. Tasting this beer, the flavor comes close to replicating the aroma, although not everything that defines an imperial stout is lost in the flavor. Delicate roasted malts with a fruity, tart, and grainy bite, drying traces of raw barrel without any spirit influences, and a moderate alcohol pinch. It's very average by beer standards. This was not my favorite imperial stout. It was okay. I recommend you try it because I love everything Left Hand does. This is just average for me, though. So I'm giving Wake Up Dead by Left Hand Brewing Company 3 stars. And next up on the show, we have Cubano-Style Espresso Brown Ale from Cigar City Brewing out of Tampa, Florida. Cubano-Style Espresso Brown Ale has an ABV of 5.5% and a year-round availability. The description from the website says this rich brown ale is redolent with Cuban-style roasted espresso beans, sweet caramel and toffee, and hints of dried nuttiness. Cuban espresso is a popular drink in the cigar city of Tampa, owing it to many Sicilians and Cuban immigrants. The beans for the Cubano-Style Espresso Brown Ale are roasted locally by an Italian market and deli in St. Petersburg to our exact specifications. This beer pours a nice brown color with red highlights. A walnut-toned head lies 1.5 inches atop and was moderately lasting. A very good collection of carbonation bubbles stick to the vessel bottom, while the glass walls remain clean and void of lacing. Aromas of freshly roasted coffee beans are oily, with a dry sense of vegetation and tobacco leaves. Brown ale malting has some maple syrup and specialty grain sweetness. Earthy bark is countered with some sweet cocoa powder of nice strength with a lasting impression. Tasting this beer, you get flavors that are earthy with dried tobacco leaves and ground coffee beans. Spicy with some cocoa and earthy bark and dark bread is balanced with some sweet chocolate. Espresso beans are rich and oily, full of flavor, along with some dried vegetation and sweet brown ale malting that matches the nose. Toasted caramel with Sweet nuttiness is met with some maple syrup and a slight smoky wood finish. Overall, the flavor speaks volumes here, especially for a style that goes mostly ignored. Earthy, sweet, and toasty caramel makes for an excellent tasting beer with a beautiful base of outstanding flavor. Outstanding drinking quality that leaves you in awe to the finish. This thing is outstanding. It is a world-class beer. You've got to find it. You got to try it. You will not be disappointed. So I'm giving Cubano-Style Espresso Brown Ale from Cigar City Brewing 5 stars. And the last beer on today's show is Double Two-Hearted Ale from Bell's Brewing out of Comstock, Michigan. Double Two-Hearted Ale has an ABV of 11% and a rotating availability. The description from the website says everything you love about our classic Two-Hearted Ale now in a double IPA. With 2.5 times the amount of Centennial hops, Double Two-Hearted has an intense pine and citrus notes and resinous hop aroma and rich malt character. This beer pours a hazy orange amber color with a thin head on top. The aroma is very pleasant, old-school double IPA. Heavy on caramel nut malt, modest toffee-like sweetness, a touch of brown sugar, and then citrusy hops. Malt scents are dominant over the hops. Tasting this beer, it pretty much follows the nose with caramel malt and brown sugary malt underneath. Touch of butterscotch. The hops are sweet oranges and candied orange peels. It finishes with a touch of spice and heat from that 11% ABV, along with a faint bite of piney bitterness. Overall, I love this beer. Bell's consistently are making world-class beers, and this one is no exception. Again, you got to find it when it's out. You got to try it. If you love double IPAs or IPAs, you'll love this one. So I'm giving Double Two-Hearted Ale from Bell's Brewing 5 stars. And that is going to do it for today's episode of Brews with Brian. I want to thank everybody for listening. The show continues to grow each and every week. We actually picked up a few more states and another country. So I want to thank everybody for listening. On today's episode, I reviewed Wake Up Dead from Left Hand Brewing Company, Cubano-Style Espresso Brown Ale from Cigar City Brewing, and Double Two-Hearted Ale from Bell's Brewing Company. Now, you can find the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. So don't forget to subscribe and like and leave a review if you think that we deserve it. I want to give a special shout out to Southern Package like I do every week. It's my one-stop shop for craft beer. It's the only place I buy it. And if you live in Northwest Alabama, you got to check them out. Southern Package in Sheffield, Alabama. But that's going to do it for today's episode of Brews with Brian, and we'll see you next time.